Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
All right. I'll get to it. I know. Joe was poking fun at me before the show. For those of you watching on the YouTube, you already know what I'm talking about. For you audio listeners, yes, I got the Nelson Muntz, big black eye on my right eye. If you want to check it out, youtube.com/Bongino. If for some reason you have some morbid curiosity about a bruise under my right eye, I'll get to that in a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a ton of content for you today from one of the worst interviews I've seen in the history of cable news television, by a guest, that is, not by the interviewer. Jim Comey, lying his way through a weekend interview. I'm going to debunk just about everything of substance he said because there was no substance in it at all. Don't go anywhere. And a big thank you again to everyone who watched my weekend interview or listened to my weekend interview with the great Candace Owens. It did great numbers, youtube.com/Bongino, or on our Apple podcast, SoundCloud, iHeart, wherever you want to listen to it. She did a really great job nailing the left for their obsession with identity politics. Next week, big guest, Devin Nunes. Super excited. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Apple Podcast. That'll come out this week, and you are not going to want to miss that one, I promise. All right, let's get right to it. Today's show brought to you by our buddies at Helix. Helix sleep mattresses. Thankfully, I have one of these. I needed it after a rough weekend on the mats. Kind of a little explanation for you. Helix Sleep as a quiz. It takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Whether you're a side sleeper, hot sleeper, you like a plush or a firm bed, with Helix, there's no more confusion and no more compromising. Helix Sleep is rated the #1 mattress by GQ and Wired Magazine. And we rate it #1 in the Bongino household. We have two, one for us, one for our daughter, and we both love it. Just go to helixsleep.com/Dan. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights, risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. This is the most comfortable mattress I have ever slept on at the best price you're going to find. Right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders for our listeners. Go to Helix, Helix, sleep.com/Dan, helixsleep.com/Dan, for up to $200 off your mattress order. Act today, helixsleep.com/Dan. All right, Joe, let's go. So, as I told you before we get into the delusional Jim Comey, I caught a knee to the face this weekend on the mats. Doesn't hurt. It's not a big deal, but I appreciate it. I had to cover it up on Fox with about a pound of concealer. It didn't work very well, so I tried. I've tried to put some on, but it looked ridiculous with the lighting for my show, so we're just going to have to deal with it for the rest of the week. I hope you're okay with it.
It's a fashion statement, man.
Yeah, fashion statement, or an unfashionable statement in my case. So Jim Comey was on Fox this week, and I have a bunch of video here I want to bring you from it. But before we get to it, I just want to lay out what we know now that the IG reports that, what we absolutely know. And I want to get to one part of it that, given my experience as a federal agent, I can tell you absolutely categorically Comey's lying about. First, we know now that they spied on Trump due to the dossier which the IG report deemed central and essential. Ladies and gentlemen, the probable cause. Joe, I know you like this stuff, but please, as the audience on Buzzfeed, stop me if it doesn't make sense. Folks, when you were a federal agent, like I did, and like Jim Comey headed an agency of, the FBI is full of GS 1811 federal agents. That's the designation. To swear for a warrant, an arrest warrant or a search warrant in front of a judge, you need probable cause. Probable cause is a series of data points, facts, and evidence that would lead a judge to believe that what the agent is telling them leads to the probable cause that this person probably did this crime. Based on the evidence.
Okay.
It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard for conviction in a criminal trial. It's preponderance of evidence in a civil trial. You listen to me, folks. You either have probable cause or you don't. You don't kind of have probable cause. You either have it or you don't. Do you get it? There's no going in front of a judge and saying, here are the elements of the crime I think Joe Armacost probably committed. I present 10 of those points. One of them turns out not to be true. Ladies and gentlemen, if one of them turns out not to be true and it tips the scales, there's no probable cause. I was on Brian Kilmeade's radio show earlier, and I gave an example of this that maybe will make more sense. The analogy works here. And this is important you understand this. If I present a series of data points to a judge and I say, Brian Kilmeade, I think, robbed a bank in New York. And, well, the judge says, well, how do you know that? I say, well, Judge, look in my application for the warrant. You'll see I heard from a source that Brian Kilmeade robbed the bank in New York. Oh, okay. Well, did you verify the source? Not really, Judge, but we have other stuff too. Well, what's the other stuff? Well, we have Brian Kilmeade lives in New York. Brian Kilmeade works at Fox News, which is in New York. Brian Kilmeade frequents New York locations, and Brian Kilmeade's used the bank before. Ladies and gentlemen, of those 5 things I just presented, or 4, whatever I said, do you understand the only one that's actually evidence of a crime is the source saying Brian Kilmeade robbed the bank? If you lose that, and all you have is the other 4, he lives in New York, he goes to banks in New York, he works in New York, and he frequents locations in New York, none of that is evidence of a crime.
Get out of my courtroom, Mr. Bongino.
You would be laughed out of the courtroom. Jim Comey is not telling you that. He's still insisting that this dossier was like some random piece of information in a larger mosaic when the IG report has conclusively debunked this. We now know the FBI lied about Carter Page. They used his contacts with Russians at the behest of the U.S. government doing his patriotic duty on behalf of the intel agencies. Carter Page was working for the government to nail Russians. They used that against him as evidence he was working with the Russians. I mean, a level of disgusting filth that this should be the subject of a documentary about law enforcement abuses from now until kingdom come. They not only lied about Page, they lied about Steele too. Christopher Steele, who's insisting Carter Page is working with Russians on behalf of the Trump campaign, they insisted Steele was a verified source whose information had been used in the past in criminal cases by the FBI. False. They lied about Page and Steele. That is not true. Steele's information, quote, according to the IG report, had only been minimally corroborated and had never been used in a criminal trial before. Ever. They made it up. We know about the January meeting. Comey's team, getting ready to spy on the Trump campaign, meets with one of Steele's sources in January and determines the source is total bunk, and they renew the FISA anyway based on the information Steele heard from the source they know is a lie. We know they had 7 lies in the initial FISA application, 7 lies to spy on Page, and then as if the 7 weren't enough, they added 10 more lies for 17 lies over the next 3 renewals. We know they used confidential human sources. In other words, they spied on the Trump campaign. We now know this. And we know, which I'll get to in a minute, and I still haven't got to the Comey video, that they did not eliminate political bias as a motive, that the media is making this up, and frankly, it's disgusting. Okay, let's go to video 1 first. Here's Comey basically admitting now that the FBI lied to the FISA court. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not what he said last year. So let's first go to his weekend interview where he now is forced to admit that the warrants he signed were a total lie. Check this out.
Would you agree that the FISA court was also given false information by the FBI?
I think that's fair. The FBI should have included, or at least pushed to the lawyers so they could make a decision, information that you just said, things like that another agency had not a source relationship, but some kind of contact relationship.
Okay. I want to.
You think that's fair, Jim? You may say, why are you starting off with that? He seems to be admitting wrongdoing. No. He does a little dance there, and of course he wants to take the edge off it. Just admit you're a liar because you knew you lied years ago when this thing started. So he knew this was a lie 2 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, understand this. Jim Comey had access to the Woods file. The Woods file is a documented spreadsheet of every allegation made they used to spy on Carter Page. You understand? In that spreadsheet, they had checked boxes, not corroborated, can't corroborate, found in the open source media. Do you understand Comey knew years ago this was a lie? He's only coming clean now because the IG report nailed him to the wall, because that's not what he said a year ago when asked about the FISA warrant, all the lies they told to the FISA court. Look at this cocky, arrogant sleazeball a year ago talking about the same FISA process he swears was all legitimate. Check this out.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed and that the entire case was handled in a thoughtful, responsible way by DOJ and the FBI. I think the notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
Folks, again, what I'm trying to paint here is a picture for you that's clear as day, that Jim Comey is a liar and a fraud. He is not coming clean, as I played in that opening segment about his obvious lies he's now admitting and his team's lies to the FISA court, because Comey's had some road to Damascus moment here. That is not what happened. Comey knew when he gave that interview I just played, that presser in the hallway after his congressional testimony. He knew, listen to me, he knew the information they had presented to the FISA court was not corroborated. They had a file on it. There's a paper trail of the Woods procedures, which is a file of their verification process of information they're using to spy on people. I told you this, Joe. How long have we been talking about the Woods procedure? 2.5 years now?
Long time.
My gosh, Joe's tired of hearing it at this point. Even the audience ombudsman's like, I'm making an ombudsman decision. No more on the Woods procedure. Even he's tired of hearing it. This is old news to you, and I'm proud to say that. But point is, Comey knew 2 years ago. Why not just come out and be honest 2 years ago and say we screwed up? Clearly, we had some political bias. We made huge mistakes here. Why? Because he's not principled. He doesn't have a spine. He's a liar. And that's what liars do. He's only fessing up now because the IG report's out, which conclusively proves he's a liar. Chris Wallace, who I thought did a good job, nailed him to the wall on it. And the Durham report's going to come out in the spring, which is going to make Comey look even worse. That's the only reason. All right. Here he goes lying again. This is Jim Comey when asked by Chris Wallace a question about something different. And watch how Comey interrupts Wallace to make a point that is categorically false. Oh no, Chris, the Trump campaign wasn't under investigation. Really? Play this cut, and then I'm going to show you Jim Comey's own words from a congressional hearing, proving again what a fraud this guy is. Check this out. Pay special attention to him interrupting Wallace and what he says.
Horowitz concludes 3 separate teams made significant errors in 4 separate FISA applications on one of the FBI's most significant cases. I mean, the investigation of President Trump and his campaign.
He was Trump. I have to keep correcting you. President Trump was not being investigated. His campaign was not being investigated. 4 Americans, 2 of whom were no longer associated with the campaign, were being investigated.
Okay, folks, again, I don't know what to do here to prove this guy's lying and make it any simpler for you other than to show you Jim Comey's own testimony up on Capitol Hill. Let me read this for you, and I'll highlight the relevant portions. This is Jim Comey's own words. This is a direct transcript I am going to read verbatim. Put this up on the screen. Here is Jim Comey. Quote, I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. Listen. And that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts. Folks, again, is Comey brain dead? Is this guy at the point of sociopathy where he just lies and doesn't understand the consequences? You know, I had a solid interview with Comey this morning on his radio show. He's a good guy. And he said to me, and he asked an honest question, and I said to him, Brian, I don't have the answer. And the question was, Dan, why is he doing this? He knows we can read his words and play video of Jim Comey saying things that are the exact opposite of what he's saying now. I just played one for you. We did everything we could. The FISA process is intact, and it's wonderful. This weekend, the FISA, we lied to him. Jim Comey, we were not investigating the Trump campaign. Jim Comey, we were investigating the Trump campaign. Folks, the answer is, I don't know. You know, I went to graduate school for psychology. I'm not telling you this to pat myself on the back. I say that because I was not a PhD, so I'm not authorized to diagnose anyone. It was a graduate degree at the master's level. But I'm not giving any kind of a professional diagnosis. I'm just saying that this resembles behavior that's psychologically troubling. Let me take the edge off that. Because we can just look at his own testimony. He's lying. He knows he's lying. And he's doing it anyway without regard to consequence. The behavior of seriously troubled people. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The guy's a fraud. He is a total, complete fraud. You know, if you ever doubted Lord Acton's power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, just crack a book on Jim Comey. He has been clearly, deeply corrupted by his years in power, both in the Department of Justice and as a leader in the FBI. Clearly, clear as day. He has been deeply corrupted. He doesn't have a shred of morality left in him. He interrupts Chris Wallace to make this point. The Trump campaign wasn't under investigation. Okay, I guess you forgot your own testimony from last time. You didn't forget. He's a liar. All right, here we go again with this insistence that the IG report said there was no political bias. Folks, I was on Fox and Friends this morning. Some of you saw it. The highlights from it will be in the show notes today. I have a link in the show notes, bongino.com/newsletter. If you want to subscribe to our show notes, it's the best email stories of the day. I strongly recommend you do. I hope you do. I have the video cut from my time on Fox and Friends. I'm not going to play it here because the gist of it was, I said to Ainsley, Brian, and Steve, I'm really getting tired of hearing this on the media, that the report said there was no political bias. That is not what the report said. I'll have a cut of Kimberly Strassel in a minute explaining it really well. But notice Comey doubles down on another lie, that the report said there's no political bias. That is not what the report said. First, let's play Comey's lies, again, saying something that he absolutely knows to be false. Check this out.
It's unclear what the motivations were. On the one hand, gross incompetence, negligence. On the other hand, intentionality.
Gross negligence, or they intended to do it. They intended to lie to the FISA court. You were in charge during a lot of this, sir. And in fact, you signed the FISA applications.
Sure, I think I signed at least 2 or 3 of them. He doesn't conclude that there was intentional misconduct by these career special agents.
No,
he just
says
doesn't.
It's one of 2 things, and he can't decide: gross negligence or it was intentional misconduct.
Well,
that's what he said.
I've read his report. He says we are not concluding that there was intentional misconduct by FBI.
Did you hear what he just said here?
I did. I don't know the context of that. I've read.
He was asked specifically, how do you explain it? And he said gross negligence or intentionality.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. He doesn't find intentionality, but that doesn't make it any less important. As director, you are responsible for this. I was responsible for this, and if I were still there, I'd be doing what Chris Wray is doing, is figuring out, so how did this happen, and is it sustainable?
Folks, I mean, seriously, can this guy get any sleazier? You just heard the Inspector General Horowitz, who opens up that clip. You heard him characterize his report, Joe. It's the Horowitz report. What does he say? I mean, do I have to repeat this? For the liberals with their blockheads and their adamantium-coated skulls, let me just explain to you. Horowitz did not say there was no political bias. He said, quote, he is unclear on if all these actions to investigate the Trump team were due to just incompetence. And by actions, he means the lies, the mischaracterizations, the citing of the Steele dossier despite knowing it's false, the 7 lies in the first application and the 10 more lies later, the use of spies to spy on a campaign they knew wasn't colluding with the Russians. Horowitz says he's unclear, you heard him, if it's either incompetence, it's not, Comey's not stupid, neither were the people working on this case, or intentionality, or if it's intentional. At what point does Horowitz say there's no political bias? He does not say that. He said he found no documentary evidence of political bias. What does that mean? Well, rather than me explaining it to you, because I can, and I'll kind of add some color on this at the end, Kimberly Strassel, who's done phenomenal work, I know Joe likes Kim's work too, over at the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I do.
Was on Fox this weekend. And again hammers this point about how the media keeps repeating there was no political bias despite it being categorically false. She explains it quite well in this cut. Check this out.
Well, Maria, it's really important to talk about what the IG really did find in terms of political bias because it's been mischaracterized. What he said is he didn't find documentary evidence of bias, which means he didn't find letterhead somewhere with DOJ on top of it saying, let's take out Trump. But he actually addresses the fact that there was bias in his report, at least from a personal perspective, among the texts that you just noted. And then, look, he also laid out for the American people to see, dozens upon dozens of ways in which the FBI abused and manipulated the FISA court. And I think if, what he was trying to do is say, here, people, here's the evidence. You make your own judgment. And anyone with a brain who looks at this knows that, of course, there was bias because all of those errors go one direction.
Folks, beautifully stated. Horowitz does not say, for now the 3rd time, there was no political bias. Do not accept this liberal talking point from the media activists for the liberals and all the hacks and dopes out there. That's not what he says. He says he's unclear as to the motivations of all their lies. It was either incompetence or intentionality, leaving open the possibility, Joe, that it is option 2. It was intentionally biased. He does not conclude that. He said, as Strassel adequately summed up there, that there's no documentary evidence. In other words, Joe, completely unsurprisingly, by the way, that Jim Comey didn't take a memo to himself and said, I hate Donald Trump, therefore we're going to lie about him. Shocker, Joe. Comey's not that stupid. Do you get it? Horowitz has to play the Joe Friday role. He has to lay out the facts. Through his summary of the facts in the 400-page super repetitive report, by the way, now that I'm through the whole thing, gosh, he could have cut that thing down easily by 100 pages. He lays out facts that claim a clear as day picture of political bias, and he lets you figure it out because, quote, he's unclear. They did not say there's no political bias. Enough with the lies. My gosh, we've had enough of you already, you media hacks. Spygate's a hoax. It was real. Collusion's real. It was a hoax. No political bias. That's not what he said. Did you even listen to the testimony? Do you even do facts? My gosh. That's why I say don't ever call me a journalist. Ever. I will walk away from you in public. I'm not a journalist. We do facts here. We do reality. All right, I got a couple more points on Comey, and then I want to move on to Schiff, who had another disastrous interview on the same show this week, and he's already starting with the nonsense. And then later in the show, I've got, I think what Joe and Paula would both agree, a 2-minute Grabian Media compilation here. I saw it on Tom Elliott's account, Real Clear Politics. A 2-minute compilation of the loser hack media defending the dossier despite knowing back then it was probably BS, but now knowing for sure it's BS. It's compilation's great. It's worth your time. All right, today's show also brought to you by our buddies at Genucel. Genucel, folks. Go to Genucel, GENUCEL.com, and enter Dan30 at checkout. We'll enter Dan30 at checkout for what? For Genucel products, ladies and gentlemen, because there's only 1 week left for Chamonix's Christmas and holiday sale. Time's running out on Chamonix's best promotion of the year. Imagine the double chin and turkey neck. Gone with the famous Genucel breakthrough jawline treatment with MDL technology. We use this in our house before I go on the air. Unfortunately, it can't do much for black eyes, but it does do a lot for eye bags and puffiness. Get the classic Genucel treatment for eye bags absolutely free, plus Genucel's immediate effects for results in 12 hours. Got a hot date? Immediate effects, Genucel. You got a picture, photo shoot? Genucel's immediate effects is for you. Look 10, 15, even 20 years younger, right before your eyes, guaranteed a 100% of your money back. But your order today is even more special. Chamonix partnered with Women Rising to give the same exact package you get to a woman seeking support and assistance from domestic violence. Go to Genucel.com and enter Dan30 at checkout for an extra special discount. Your order today includes Genucel XV anti-wrinkle treatment, we like that, and will be upgraded to priority shipping for free. Order now and get a surprise luxury stocking stuffer just in time for Christmas Day. Get your Genucel holiday package at Genucel.com. That's Genucel.com. Enter Dan30 at checkout. Check it out today. Okay. One more quick note about Jim Comey. Again, a point of privilege here because I've done this for a living. Well, I'm not going to play the video on it because I could play Comey video all day. And then, at this point, I got a lot more to get to. But at one point he says, outrageously, during the interview, Joe, he says, well, listen, I can't be responsible. And I'm summarizing it. He says, I can't be responsible for all the failures in this thing. I'm the director. And he says, and I quote, if the director gets involved in these investigations, they'll muck it up. Folks, come on. Do you seriously believe this? Now, listen, to my federal agent and cop friends out there, you know what I'm saying is true. Email us, feedback, put it on Twitter, whatever, I'll see it, okay? You know what I'm about to say is true. When I was an agent, important cases, and by the way, when I say important cases, I mean cases probably 1/1,000,000th as important as the spying on of the Trump campaign, as Comey already said, which we showed you in his testimony. He already acknowledged they were spying on and investigating the Trump campaign, right? Would you say, Joe, the most consequential counterintelligence investigation in modern times? I think that's pretty safe to say that, right? Yeah. When you're a Secret Service agent, the most important cases we do are what we call protective intelligence, or we used to call them PI or ID, intelligence division cases. Protective intelligence cases are threat cases involving the president. Ladies and gentlemen, without going through the intimate details, I'm not going to give you up any security stuff, obviously. I am telling you for a fact, when a serious PI case, threat case, comes in, believe me when I tell you the director is being briefed on that. I'm telling you this with 100% certainty. The director is briefed on these cases. For very serious ones, probably hourly. If there is a case, there's a phone tip, there's a terrorist attack pending, there's a phone tick, there's an assassin waiting for, God forbid, the president in such and such a place. Having worked these cases, having been in the protective intelligence squad, the New York field office of the Secret Service, the director is briefed. Are you telling me, Jim Comey, with a straight face, that the spying operation into the Trump campaign, which you already admitted in Congress, that you had no idea what was going on despite signing off on 3 of the 4 FISA warrants personally? Now, again, I keep citing this Kill Meter because I had a lot of fun with Brian on the radio this morning. Brian said to me, Dan, I think Comey's explanation is even worse. And Joe, I think he's right. So explanation one is Comey knew the whole time, signed off on the FBI lying to a FISA court to spy on an innocent American citizen. There's only one other explanation, that Comey's so dumb, so obtuse, and so out of the loop that the FBI was spying on a presidential campaign and investigating them, and Comey had no idea what was going on. I honestly don't know which one of those explanations is worse. And this is supposed to be the super patriot, as Hannity calls him, or as Judge Jeanine calls him, Cardinal Comey. This is the guy we entrusted with the most important, powerful federal law enforcement agency anywhere in the world, with the most powerful surveillance tools we've seen, literally, not figuratively, in the history of humankind. This joker? I didn't know. Well, golly, I didn't know anything. I'm a real imbecile. And he's proud of that? I don't get it, folks.
I like Jimmy.
He's great, isn't he? What the? Now, making it even worse, showing you that this is not misfeasance. Remember, misfeasance, someone falls in front of you on the curb, you don't help them up. That's misfeasance. Malfeasance, someone falls in front of you on the street and the curb, they get up, you punch them in the face and knock them down again. Both sick. Malfeasance clearly worse than misfeasance, though. Comey's trying to say, Joe, this was misfeasance. Well, golly, he's so great. He's trying to claim misfeasance.
Right.
Folks, we have evidence what he did was malfeasance. As I showed you last week in that Washington Examiner piece we discussed before, Jim Comey will not reinstitute his security clearance to be interviewed by Barr and Durham. They need him to reinstitute his security clearance, folks, so they can show him documents he signed that are still classified. Comey won't do it. Why? Because he doesn't want to be reminded about the stuff he did wrong, so therefore I can't lie. Golly, I don't know. He's clearly not trying to set the record straight. He's trying to muck the record up again. This guy is a fraud, folks. And I think even the liberal media that pilloried Trump, by the way, for firing him, is going to have to acknowledge shortly that President Trump deserves a medal for firing this complete clown. Probably the most brilliant tactical political decision in modern political history, firing this complete loser. All right, again, don't go anywhere. Coming up later, I got this video of just the media showing you why you should never, ever take these people seriously, folks, ever. They're a joke. They're a total embarrassment. No, total embarrassment. Before we get to that, speaking of clowns, here's Adam Schiff on Chris Wallace's show this weekend. Schiff comes on, and that the lies, again, Schiff's effortless, fluid ability to lie parallels only that of Jim Comey. The guy is a fraud. He's on with Chris Wallace. And again, Wallace tries to pin him down in the IG report. Now that he knows what Schiff had told us for years, collusion was real, the FISA process was followed. This was all predicated. There was no political bias. Here's Schiff, the disgraceful fraud, the embarrassment of embarrassments. Again, lying to Wallace about what he knows. I can't take it. Check this out.
After reading the IG's report, which discusses 17 serious errors of omission, some would say misconduct on the part of the FBI, do you still think that the FBI acted appropriately, as you said there?
Well, I think this is consistent with the IG report. They were right to seek a FISA on Carter Page, and there wasn't some deep state conspiracy. There was no spying on the Trump campaign. There was no effort to, based on political bias, open the investigation. It was properly predicated. But there were nonetheless serious abuses of FISA, which were not apparent 2 years ago, but which have become apparent now with 170 witnesses interviewed and 2 million documents reviewed by the IG. And I am glad that the IG made the recommendations that he has made, and the FBI is going to follow them. But that wasn't apparent to us 2 years ago. But the most significant things, I think, are that corrective steps will be taken in terms of the FISA process, and that the IG debunk these claims by the president, by Mr. Nunes and others, of this deep state conspiracy, this improper investigation. It would have been negligent for them not to conduct this investigation.
Okay, that's just a lie. Why do media people still keep having this guy on? I don't understand. I don't mind Wallace having him on and call him out, but why do left-wing activists in the media, because they're not real media folks, why this guy has zero, he doesn't have a shred of integrity or credibility. He lied to you about having evidence on Russian collusion. He's never produced it. He made it up. He lied. He's a serial fabricator and a serial liar. He lied to you about what the Mueller probe was doing. He lied to you about Ukraine. He lied to you about his contacts with the whistleblower. He lied to you in the Schiff memo, which I'm going to get to in a second, where Devin Nunes totally, completely eviscerates Schiff in this memo, which is worth your time. I'm going to put a portion of it up. He is a documented liar. There were spies on the Trump campaign. They did not conclude there was no political bias. This guy is a total fraud. He goes on, though. This stuff gets even worse this weekend. Check out Schiff Part 2.
At that time in 2018, you said the FBI and Department of Justice did not, quote, omit material information. Apparently, you did not know at the time that, in fact, Steele's main Russian sources had told the FBI that he had misrepresented what that Russian source had said, and that the FBI knew at the time that Carter Page, in fact, was acting as a contact, as a unofficial source for the CIA. Given what you know now, we talked earlier to Director Comey, and he basically said, I was wrong in what I represented back in 2018. Are you willing to admit that you were wrong in your defense of the FBI's FISA process?
Oh, I'm certainly willing to admit that the Inspector General found serious abuses of FISA that I was unaware of. Had I known of them, Chris, yes, I would have called out the FBI at the same time. But I think it's only fair to judge what we knew at the time, not what would be revealed 2 years later. But yes, there were very serious abuses of the FISA process. They need to be corrected. We need to make sure they never happen again.
Okay, folks, that is a lie again. This guy is a cosmic level disgrace to sentient beings on Earth and anywhere else in the cosmos or any other cosmos or multiple universes we may live in. This guy is such a shady, shifty loser. I cannot believe people take this guy seriously. Did you hear what he said there? He said 2 years ago, when he wrote his now infamous Schiff memo defending the FISA warrant, Joe, saying Steele was credible, Steele's information had been used in criminal proceedings. They didn't only rely on the dossier to get probable cause. He basically echoed the Mosaic comments. Folks, nothing of substance in that Schiff memo you can still read is true. It was all false. So what does he do? This lying, disgraceful, sleazy snake that he is. He says, well, Chris, he takes the Jim Comey approach. Golly, I was unaware 2 years ago of any of this.
There you go. Yep.
Folks, that is a lie. Adam Schiff was the ranking member 2 years ago when Nunes was the chairman of the same committee now that Nunes, that Schiff is the chairman of now. They switched roles. Schiff had the exact same information Nunes did when Nunes wrote a memo, which basically nailed everything the IG report said. Schiff was not reliable. Carter Page was not a Russian spy. The Steele dossier was a joke, and it was the element of PC, probable cause they used to spy on the Trump campaign. Nunes' memo was 100% on point. Schiff's memo is a written, documented fraud on the country that the media used, Joe, to call Nunes a conspiracy theorist. Look at Schiff's memo. This is true. The media will not apologize because they're frauds. Now, Schiff's a disgrace to humankind, so you'll never get an apology out of a disgraceful, horrible person like Adam Schiff. But Nunes, this weekend, I got my mitts on this one. Nunes wrote another memo this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask him about it in our interview with him this week. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bongino. You're not going to want to miss this one. Here's Nunes' memo this week where he this is a political evisceration like I haven't seen in a while. I'm just going to put up one page of it, but I want to read to you a portion because it's just absolutely hysterical. Throw that up on the screen here. So he writes this to Adam Schiff. Why he calls him the Honorable, I guess they have to at this point. The Honorable, I just would have called him sleazeball Adam Schiff. So he writes this letter, and he says, as you were aware, the IG report came out, et cetera, and you wrote this memo. And so he goes on, he says, well, after publishing the false conclusions of such enormity on a topic directly within the committee's oversight responsibilities. You reading ahead? It is clear you are in need of rehabilitation. And this is Nunes', I'm not making this up. This is Nunes' actual memo. And I hope this letter will serve as the first step in that vital process. He says, the Nunes letter goes on. I'm not making that up. Those are the actual words. He goes, outlining every false claim from your memo would require an extremely long letter, so I will limit my summary to a few highlights. In your memo, you make the following assertions. And he goes on about all of the false things that Schiff said in his memo. You will be in need of rehabilitation. You'll be in need of, and he says, and maybe this will help start the vital process. Folks, oh my gosh. Again, you see why I have such respect for Devin Nunes, because he just refuses to back down. He just will not take the liberal media's hints. Nunes, you better shut up. We're going to accuse you of conspiring with space aliens next. We're going to shred your character, your family, your job, your future earning potential, everything if you don't shut up. He's like, no thanks. I'm just going to write this memo shredding Schiff again. Schiff is a liar. So media people who are listening to my show, I ask you this question, and I say this with all sincerity. When does Nunes get his apology? I mean it. Now that his letter we can all read from 2 years ago, the Nunes memo, the famous Nunes memo, in contrast to the infamous Schiff memo, now that we know one was a lie, the Schiff memo, and one was not, the Nunes memo, I ask you very simply, when do the apologies start coming? When do the resignations start happening in the media? For those of you that called Nunes a conspiracy theorist, when does that happen? I'm expecting an answer for you media hacks. I know you listen to my show because I see you follow me on Twitter and commenting about my show. So the media lunatics, hacks, acolytes, and boot-kissing, butt-licking dogs that you are, the ones who did this and lied about this man's character, right? You butt sniffers. They like to sniffing people's butts in the liberal media. When do you apologize to Nunes? When does he get that apology? Is it going to be written? Are we all going to go on TV and do a joint mea culpa? When does that happen? You have your noses up the butts of the media, like the doggies? Pathetic. Wait till I get to the supercut of media people. Forget about apologizing. They still haven't apologized for openly lying to you about a dossier everybody knew was false. One quick note before I get to my next sponsor, folks. Schiff is already with Jerry Nadler. I warned you about this last week. They're already setting up their 2020 hoax. You watch them on TV. You will see them now because they know they're going to lose impeachment. They know they lost the collusion hoax. They lost the Mueller hoax. They've lost everything. The public is turning against them en masse right now because they know Schiff's a liar, Nadler's a liar, Pelosi's a liar. They know these people have no credibility and you can't lie forever. Eventually you're going to get caught. So what are they doing, Joe? They're already preparing their next narrative, which is if we don't stop Trump now, he's going to collude with blank. I told you, I think it's going to be Turkey. That's going to be their next myth. He's going to collude to interfere in the 2020 election, because if he wins in 2020, they will say, look, we warned you with another hoax. Just get ready. That's all I'm telling you. I could play 100 cuts of this already hinting. They should be laughed at and mocked by any serious person in the media. And the question should be immediately when Schiff says, he's going to do it again in 2020. Adam, you said he did it in 2016. That was false. Why are you saying it again now? Do you have any evidence of this? Yeah. Or is this just like your 2016 hoax again? It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. All right, got a lot more to get to. Today's show also brought to you by our buddies at Simply Safe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best home security system out there. You know what I like about Simply Safe? Well, it's a couple things. Number one, it's easy to install. My wife, Paula, installed it one night. I had fallen asleep early. I was super tired. She was kind enough to put the system together. She started at like 10 o'clock. It was late. She got to bed like 11:30. I said, what were you doing? She said, I already set up the Simply Safe system in the house. I'm not kidding. It's that simple. But secondly, there's no contracts. They don't need contracts, Simply Safe, because their service is so great. They don't need to lock you down. You're going to love it and you're going to stay. Hey, listen, I want to remind my listeners that this time is also, time's running out at Simply Safe's huge holiday offer. It's their biggest sale of the year right now. If you're looking to fully protect your home with award-winning 24/7 home security, now is the time to do it. Listen, unfortunately, burglaries spike during the holiday season. Why? Families travel, they leave empty houses with big expensive gifts behind. Simply Safe's holiday sale couldn't come at a better time. Simply Safe has everything you need to protect your home and your family. There's a smart lock and video doorbell pro to defend your front door, which, by the way, we just added that, the video doorbell pro, which is great. They have an army of sensors and cameras that guards every window, door, and room in your home. Make it your fortress. Believe me, I have a lot of experience with security. This was my life before. If there's a break-in, they give you real-time video confirmation to police as it happens. So police response is important, up to 3.5 times faster. No surprise, Simply Safe has won CNET and PC Magazine's Editor's Choice Awards. Simply Safe made a holiday offer with our listeners in mind, but it ends on December 31st, so act now. They rarely do deals, so this is big. Now's your chance. Visit Simply Safe. Pay attention to spelling. That's SIMPLI, safe.com/Dan Bongino to find out just how much you'll save. And remember, the sale ends December 31st, so go today. SimplySafe.com/Dan Bongino. SimplySafe.com/Dan Bongino. Go today. You'll get a great offer. Check it out. Best home security system out there. Okay. So, folks, again, we are, I don't know if the media is ever going to try to salvage their credibility and apologize to Nunes and all of us they call conspiracy theorists. I doubt it. But showing to you that they're liars, they're butt sniffers and bootlicking hacks for the left. Here is a courtesy of Grabian Media. And again, I found this on Tom Elliott, Real Clear Politics. He's a really good follow on Twitter. I think he's at Tom S. Elliott. He always has good video on there. Here is a montage. It's about 2 minutes, worth your time, of CNN, MSNBC. You'll recognize some of the voices. Alison Camerata from CNN, who just lost her mind when she went over there with this collusion stuff, just decimated her reputation. And then you'll hear Nicole Wallace, a former rhino, now turned full-blown radical liberal, just humiliating themselves, defending a dossier that every sane person on the planet knew was a hoax. Check this out. This is one of the best clips you're going to see. Media hacks defending a hoax document. Check this out.
Parts of the now infamous dossier on Trump have proven to be true.
I know the history of the dossier, but it hasn't been discredited. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been corroborated. Much of the dossier has been corroborated.
This discredited dossier, which was paid for,
Your intel community has corroborated all of the details in there. The meeting.
Some of the substantive content of the dossier, we were able to corroborate in our intelligence community assessment, which from other sources, in which we had very high confidence.
We know that with the FISA application, the relevant parts of Christopher Steele's dossier were corroborated.
Say that if the application included information from the dossier, it would only be after the FBI had, in fact, corroborated information through its own investigation.
We also know that as time goes on, more and more parts of the Steele dossier get corroborated.
So when the president just refers to it as fake dossier, that is false.
I don't think that is the accurate characterization for the entirety of the dossier.
To be clear, investigators have corroborated part of the dossier.
The dossier has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
U.S. investigators have corroborated some of the allegations in that dossier, although
we do know that parts of it have been corroborated.
It's not been corroborated, but it hasn't been disproven either.
Is there anything in the dossier that has been disproven?
No.
But not one thing has been disproven. No major thing from the dossier has been conclusively disproven.
To date, none of it has been disproven, and whole big parts of it are holding up.
The dossier holds up well. None of it has been disproven.
All of the allegations in it, I don't know that anything has been disproven.
It's a fact that none of it, not one word, has been disproven. In fact, a lot of it turned out to be right on the money.
Former high-ranking intelligence officials have told us on the record that there is nothing in the Steele dossier that they know to have been disproven.
Much of the dossier has been corroborated. Do you not accept that?
I don't agree with that, Alice.
This is our reporting, and this is what crime-fighting agencies have said, that the FBI would not have just taken a dossier to the FISA court and used that as their predicate for the surveillance. They had to corroborate it themselves. That's how they operate.
Holy!
You know, I mean, Joe, imagine, right, the Dan Bongino show here, eponymously named, that you'd invested 3 years of your life in this show. I wrote 2 books on this topic, Spygate and Exonerated.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We've been talking about this case both on and off for 2 years. Imagine you had been here, invested, hours, 5 hours, 6 hours a week of your time to find out everything I told you was false. Now, that montage, again, the Grabian media montage, is clear as day that the media lied to you. They lied to you, or they weren't doing journalism. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Allison Camerata should seriously, I'm sorry, I knew Allison at Fox. We were not personal friends. Allison needs to find a new line of work. You do what you want. I mean, you're on a joke of a network anyway, but for the rest of your career, listen, the video lives forever. For the rest of humanity, that example will be used as an example of embarrassing on-air flubs for important media stories of our time. You insisting that your reporting indicates a fake hoax document was real, despite being told by lawmakers and former lawmakers, Sununu and Jim Jordan, it's a total hoax. You still fought back. No, this is real. Nicole Wallace, who's a joke anyway, nobody takes Nicole Wallace serious. Key parts have been verified of the dossier. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 3 key elements to the dossier for those of you that forgot. Carter Page was part of a well-developed conspiracy between the Russians and the Trump campaign. Categorically proven absolutely 100% false. Second part, Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, was an intermediary who met in Prague with Russians to pay them for this. Categorically false. Cohen's never been to Prague. Proven false. Finally, that Carter Page, in turn for his cooperation with the Russians on behalf of the Trump campaign, was going to accept a bribe from Rosneft, the bribe proposed by Igor Sechin from Russia. Carter Page never met Igor Sechin. There was no such bribe. It was a complete, total hoax, a fabrication. That is the dossier. Every element of that was proven categorically false. Again, when did the resignation start? Allison, do the right thing. Just resign. I'm serious. Do the right thing. Just resign and go to a new line of work. We'll respect you more for it. Say, I was wrong. I screwed up. I'm exiting this position because I can't be trusted anymore. Nicole Wallace, but you're just a joke anyway. She's like a political hack. She gets, she's a mercenary. When she was paid by Republicans, she was, big Republican. Now the, hacks at MSDNC. Now we don't even care what you have to say. We just dismiss you immediately. But Allison Camerata actually pretends to be a news person. Just resign. Just leave. Well, seriously, maintain some professional dignity and just go away. We get the talking heads there that had to defend the dossier because they love the police state, but you're supposed to be a serious news person. Just resign. Do yourself, everyone in your family, everyone a favor. Maintain some component of professional dignity. You clearly lied to people. Your sources are either total garbage or you lied about them, or you hate Trump so much that you disgraced yourself and your network on the air. Embarrassing. I mean, we could have gone on for hours with that. Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, and others. They're all jokes. They should all leave. Lemon is awful. Cuomo's a joke. Roswell Rachel and her conspiracy theories, she was on there too. They were all a joke.
Probably have more people see him here. You know?
What's that?
Yeah. You'll probably have more people see him here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless you're in an airport, then maybe you're seeing some CNN. It's just a disgrace. All right, folks, moving on because there's a lot more to talk about. So showing you again how the impeachment fiasco is completely, entirely imploded in the Democrats' faces. Not only, let me just lay out for you how badly, and trust me when I tell you my sources, I want you to smile a little bit. I have pretty good sources on this. The Democrats up on Capitol Hill are in a panic over their impeachment. Forget the faux bravado in front of the cameras. Oh, we're doing the right thing for the sake of the country. We're praying over it. Yeah, whatever. None of that's happening. They know this is a total, complete fiasco. Take my word for it. Cash the check. Take it to the bank. Polls taken of independents who are going to decide the election, independent voters, that is, not Republican or Democrat declared, are going dramatically down in favor of impeachment. The Democrats made their case. They thought independent support for impeachment would go up. It actually went, it's caving. Swing state polls, by definition, swing states that will swing the election in either direction. Support for impeachment, crashing. Huge. Black voter support, Donald Trump, up. Support for removing him from office, down. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an apocalyptic disaster. As if to add icing to the impeachment cake. Look at this doozy of a story. Washington Examiner will be up in the show notes. A Democrat congressman from New Jersey, who, by the way, is a huge liberal. I'm not even sure we should welcome this guy. Jeff Van Drew. His staffers, he's leaving the Democrat Party. He wants to be a Republican now over impeachment. All right, well, you better get along with Republican. You better subscribe to Republican ideology. We're not going to kiss your butt because all of a sudden you had some come to Jesus moment because you want to get reelected. Van Drew's staffers, because now he's switching from the Democrats to Republicans over the impeachment, they're, Joe, quote, deeply saddened and disappointed by Carlin Becker in the Washington Examiner. Will be in the show notes. They're resigning. Senior aides for Democrat planning to switch parties are quitting. Oh, we all have the sads. So sad. Sorry for you all. Goodbye. Nobody cares.
Yeah. Nobody
Good guy wants to be a Republican. They should primary him. Get rid of him, too. Guy all of a sudden is going to get a get-out-of-jail-free card? No, sorry. Like we're supposed to celebrate this guy? Granted, Dan, why? He's switching over. He's trying to do the right thing. He's not trying to do the right thing, folks. He's trying to get reelected. This guy's not doing the right thing. He believes in nothing we believe in. He's only doing this because the Democrats, the party he used to ally himself with, dramatically overstepped and now are trying to clean up their impeachment mess. This guy's making a politically expedient move. I'm not going to celebrate this guy. I'm sorry. I'm not playing into the hype here.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to come over to the Republican side now, great. But you know what? We're supposed to not primary the guy if he does because we owe him some debt of gratitude for not signing on to a fake impeachment? Whatever. Give me a break. Glad his staff's resigning. Too bad, so sad. See you later. All right. Last story of the day. Again, be in the show notes. Please subscribe to my newsletter, Bongino.com/newsletter. I will send you the best stories of the day, which we highlight, by the way, at the BonginoReport.com, BonginoReport.com, your alternative to the now left-leaning Drudge Report. Go check that out, BonginoReport.com. Here's a good one by Legal Insurrection. Democrats explode after Mitch McConnell vows total coordination with the White House on impeachment strategy. Folks, I have this noted. I'm not messing with you here. This is outrage campaign number, I had to keep count, show, 8,426. Democrats' new outrage. Folks, it's all a hoax again. I'm going to put you up a tweet in a minute showing you again because the liberals listening are like, but Dan, McConnell's supposed to be a juror in the impeachment trial. For those of you liberals, because the conservatives are smart, liberals generally aren't, the way impeachment works is the impeachment happens in the House. It's a simple majority vote. It will happen this week, sadly. Impeachment is not removal from office. It is not. It is just an impeachment. You've been impeached. It's like being indicted on the criminal side. Doesn't mean you're convicted.
You're
a trial.
It's a charge, yeah.
Yeah, it's a charge, basically. It's a political charge, but a charge nonetheless.
Right.
A trial happens in the Senate where you need 67 senators to vote to remove you from office, presided over by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. They are not going to get 67 senators, folks. There's not a chance in hell that this president's going to be removed from office. I'm telling you, even some Democrats are going to vote against this hoax, right? So Mitch McConnell went on the end and said, yeah, well, we're going to coordinate the defense with the president. Of course. Why would you not? It's a political trial. It's a show trial. It's a joke on fake charges. The Democrats are like, you can't do that. You're a juror, as if this is an actual criminal trial. It's not. It's a made-up fake hoax, right? You can't coordinate with them. You're supposed to be an impartial juror, which is a joke considering Adam Schiff coordinated with the whistleblower. That's hysterical that now coordination matters. But interestingly enough, Jonathan Swan from Axios, they pulled this thing up. Do you remember when Bill Clinton was impeached? Who was the leader of the Democrats on the Senate side? Oh, that's right, Tom Daschle. So Tom Daschle, here's this tweet from Jonathan Swan. Clinton's impeached, and Tom Daschle tells Jonathan Swan in this tweet, my former staff reminded me this morning that while I was not in contact with the White House during the trial, there was a need to coordinate on many levels. So I want to be sure I didn't give you the wrong impression. Oh. Schiff coordinates with the whistleblower on a fake charge. They go to trial over the fake charge. McConnell says, yeah, we're going to coordinate with the White House to defend them against said fake charge. The Democrats lose their mind. You can't coordinate with the White House. It's coordination. And then we find out Tom Daschle, who had the exact same role in the Clinton trial, being of Clinton's party on the Senate side, says, oh, yeah, our staff coordinated with Clinton. No outrage then. Folks, they're total, complete, utter frauds. I'm not even kidding. I'm embarrassed for you if you're a Democrat. I am embarrassed for you. You subscribe to a series of sycophantic, lying, hypocritical fools, ignoramuses, morons, and frauds. Your party is full of losers. And I'm going to tell you this. While Republicans definitely don't have all the answers, and we have our own group of idiots on that side too, Republicans may not have the answers to all of your problems, but the cause of your problems are clearly the Democrats. It is a broken party full of frauds, fakes, and charlatans. And I'm really embarrassed for you if you still subscribe to the nonsense these idiots are selling you. It's all lies. All right, so I told you at the beginning, the thing with the eye. For those of you watching on YouTube, youtube.com/Bongino, please subscribe. For those of you listening, I have a black eye. It's no more complicated than that. It's really dark. It's hard to cover up. Long story short, I was grappling this weekend, doing a drill. For those of you who grapple and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you'll know what I'm talking about. For others, this may be, in some kind of foreign language or something. But we were doing a side control drill. The guy on top in side control, his knee is generally near your face. I turned my head. He was trying to go to this north-south position. Again, this is probably Greek to everyone else, but whatever. I looked and boom, knee meet face. I got this shiner. It doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt when it happened. You can check it out on my Twitter. I'm at dbongino if you want to see the picture of it. I took a picture. I was not wearing a shirt, but I cut it off up top. I wasn't a Geraldo thing. I love my buddy Geraldo. But I was out on my porch catching some rays this weekend in the morning. And I'm like, look at this thing. So check it out at dbongino. Really appreciate it. I hope it goes away by the end of the week. I'm not like trying to impress anybody with it. I took a knee to the face. That's it. It's as simple as that. All right, folks. Again, check out my interview this coming week with Devin Nunes, and make sure you listen to the Candace Owens interview. It's really, really good. It's available on our YouTube account and on our audio podcast too. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today's show was brought to you by my buddies at Brickhouse Nutrition. They make some of the finest nutrition supplements on the market. My personal favorite is Foundation. Now, you don't hear anything shaking in there. Why? Because the bottle is empty, because I use it. I love this product. Check it out. Foundation. It is a creatine ATP blend. Does three things: look better, feel better, perform better. Go give it a shot. Go to brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Try out this creatine ATP blend and take the mirror test. If you don't believe me, take the mirror test. Before you try Foundation, right? Go check it out. Give it about 7 days to work. Take a little mental snapshot of yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself after 7 days. You're going to love this product. Go check it out. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Check out Foundation today. Can't recommend it highly enough. Bottle's empty. Miles, the owner of the company, send me some more. Thanks for tuning in, folks. See you all later.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 at dbongino.